My wife blew up at me and accused me of cheating, saying she had proof. She refuses to show me it, so now I need to show her actions have consequences by divorcing her. Posted by u/OK_cartoonist 5220. I, 44M, have been married to my wife, Grace, 42F, for 13 years, together for 16. Quick backstory, I met Grace around the time I got out of the military. It was a medical discharge, and I met her while I was at the hospital for surgery. She was a nurse on the floor where I was staying, a single mom, divorced for a couple of years. I left the military, went back to school, and now I work from home as a software engineer, more or less. We started dating and took it slow for the first couple of years because of her daughter, Maya, who was 5 at the time. Grace is still a nurse, and Maya is now in college. Until last month, I would have said that our marriage was pretty solid. We've had arguments, and I admit I was kind of terrible at housekeeping when we first moved in together because I wasn't used to how much kids can tear things up around the house. But other than that, it was good. There were no step-parent issues. I had an active role in Maya's life because her father lives overseas for work. We went on dates, and intimacy has always been great. We wanted kids, but it wasn't in the cards for us. Honestly, I'm a bit blindsided. I've had friends who were blindsided by divorce, but I never understood how. Usually, there were problems they glossed over, and then suddenly their wives would leave them, and they just didn't see it coming. But the rest of us could see it coming from a mile away. So here I am saying the same thing, and maybe I just missed something huge. The past few months, Grace has been more stressed than usual. Ever since COVID, she's been burnt out, and I asked her multiple times if she wanted to quit her job, at least for a couple of years. I thought the burnout was coming to a head. She was withdrawn and angry. She snapped at me constantly and ridiculed Maya over everything. But she's my wife, and she was traumatized by the pandemic, so both Maya and I were understanding. We would do okay with just my salary, so last month I sat her down to suggest again that she quit and take some time off to heal. Then everything blew up. She started yelling at me, saying she knew what I was doing and that she'd known for months. She claimed to have proof. I didn't know what she was talking about at first, but it didn't take long to realize she was accusing me of infidelity. I can't lie, I was angry as hell. I opened my phone, handed it to her, and told her to go through it. I then got my laptop, unlocked it, and told her to go through that as well. The whole time, she kept shouting at me about some other woman. I don't have traditional social media accounts. I'm on Lobsters, Hacker News, and I have a Reddit account. I told her to check everything. There's no secret Facebook, Instagram, or anything like that. No messages from anyone. I even opened Discord and Slack, everything I could think of. But she wouldn't even look at it. She just got angrier and angrier, and then she picked up my laptop and threw it. That's when I had enough and left. I went to my parents' house. All the while, Grace was texting, calling, and leaving increasingly unhinged messages about this woman she was convinced I was with. When I got to my parents' house, I called her once and told her I needed a few days because I was too angry to talk. The next morning, my sister called and told me that Grace had also called her multiple times to check if I was really there. After a few days, I called Grace to talk, and at first, the conversation was productive. She apologized for throwing the laptop but said I made her so angry because I was being so calm. I told her I wasn't calm, I was furious because I was being accused of cheating on my wife. But I felt it was better to try to talk it out than to start shouting, which I didn't think was a good idea. Then she got angry, accused me of twisting her words, and things quickly fell apart. She started going on and on again, insisting that she knew I was cheating and that she had proof. I asked her what proof she had because I wanted to see it. I don't remember how we got to this point, but she said she was going to send everything to the lawyer. I responded by saying fine, send a copy to mine because this was going nowhere. She got really quiet after that and asked if I was serious. I told her I wasn't going to stay in a marriage where my wife thinks I cheated on her but won't tell me why. We ended the call there, and I've been at my parents' house since. My dad is on my side, my mom thinks Grace is just having a rough time and believes we can talk this through. My sister is upset that she got dragged into it, so she thinks we're both at fault. Maya is miserable because she's being torn between me and her mom. I feel like maybe I jumped the fence and should have stayed calmer. Edit. My morning meetings are finally over, and I need to concentrate on my job, so I'm logging out for the day. I'm going to talk to my mom to see if she'll reach out to Grace and suggest therapy, couples therapy, etc. I believe those of you who suggested missing reasons are correct, something is causing this. I just don't know if it's something I've done, stress in her life, or if it's full-on projection. I don't think it is, but you never know. I'll reassure Maya again that she has a place here no matter what. As far as I'm concerned, she's my daughter, and of course, she has a place here if she needs it. However, I also won't try to pressure her, considering that's her mom, and I know this situation is pulling her in two directions. Edit. Okay, so I took a quick break and thought I'd come back to read a couple of comments, but there are way too many to go through. However, there seems to be an overall theme, so I'll try to address it quickly here. 1. Someone asked if I was cheating. I understand why you'd ask that, I never explicitly said it in the post. But let me assure you, no, I'm not cheating. I never have. Granted, those are just words, and I'm sure some might think I'm lying. But I love my wife. I never wanted to cheat. I'm not a saint, I've been attracted to people, but the thought of cheating has never crossed my mind. 2. A lot of people think she's cheating on me. Again, I don't think so. She's home every night at the same time, and she doesn't hide her devices. Could there be someone at work? Yes. Do I think she's cheating? No. But as many have pointed out, those can be famous last words. 3. Talking about divorce and staying calm. I have PTSD, and over the years, I've worked a lot in therapy to process intense emotions. It's why I stay calm, not because I actually feel calm, but because if I don't, I get overwhelmed. The talk to my lawyer comment was one of those moments where I didn't process well. I don't think it's a good idea to divorce her after over a decade together because of what's happened in the past month. On the other hand, I know that because it's not a safe place for me mentally right now, I'll stay at my parents' house until we get this resolved. 4. Could it be hormones? Yes, it could be. However, my wife is already taking hormones due to a medical procedure she had in her early 30s. As I mentioned, it wasn't in the cards for us to have kids. She usually sees the doctor every 6 months to check her levels, and her last appointment was in March. However, her mood changes started before that. 5. Mental health issues? This is what I think it is, personally. As I mentioned, Grace has been building up to burnout for a while now. These mood changes started some time ago, which is why I initially suggested she take time off work and brought it up again last month when she blew up at me. I believe this is stress related, and that's why I haven't actually contacted a lawyer. I hope my marriage can be saved. I think I just wanted reassurance from a neutral third party because I'm so far out of my depth here. 6. To those who say not to get my mom involved, my mom already is. She and Grace are incredibly close, and she's been calling Grace every day to check on her. Grace has no contact with her own family, so I'm not really involving my mom as much as just asking her to suggest marriage counseling the next time she calls. I certainly don't want to involve any other parties in this, so I'm not going to contact a friend to talk to my wife. 7. I haven't been completely out of contact with my wife since I left. I probably should have clarified that. She messages me, and sometimes it's the same silly stuff we've always talked about, like random memes she's found or things her coworkers are doing. But other times, she's begging me to just tell her the truth. I'm mentally exhausted from all of this and at the end of my rope. I've suggested therapy a couple of times already, but it hasn't gotten anywhere. Hopefully, my mom bringing it up might help. I think that's everything. I want to add, though, please don't disparage my wife. I'm upset over this because my wife is a great woman. She's smart, funny, and sweet. She's been a wonderful mother, and that's why I've been so worried these past few months, because this behavior is so out of character for her. Update 3 days later. I'm sorry if this isn't the right community, but my friend suggested it, and I thought maybe it might be the right place to vent or get advice. I'm not sure what information is necessary or relevant, so I'm just going to write down everything I can think of. I've been married to my wife, Grace, for 13 years, and we've been together for 16. When we first got together, she told me she was low/no contact with her family. There was some obvious trauma related to it, and as someone with PTSD, I respected that she might not be ready to share the details. Plus, my family loved her, so I was happy to share mine with her. After dating for a while, right before I proposed, she told me more about her family. Grace comes from a deeply fundamentalist Christian family. I know the umbrella of authority concept was a big deal, along with marrying young and a lot of other really messed up stuff. She got married at 16 to the son of family friends, who was 19 at the time. In a way, she was kind of lucky because her ex-husband moved her across the state and away from her family, which allowed her to finish school and start college. From what I can gather, he wanted out of the cult as well. She had their daughter, Maya, when she was 21, and he was finishing up his last year of school. When he completed school, he went off to grad school in Europe, and she moved back home to her family. They got divorced soon after. After the divorce, her family tried to marry Grace off to a man who was over twice her age, which was her cue to finally get out. From what little she's told me, it wasn't an easy exit. There was a lot of violence involved, and she suggested there had been SA or attempted kidnapping by the older man. However, she eventually managed to escape. She took her daughter, moved in with a distant aunt, and cut off most of her family. A few years later, she met me, and the rest was history. Until this year. The past few months, my wife has been very snappish, with sudden bouts of anger and withdrawal. She's a nurse, and at first, I thought she was burnt out. She worked for days at a time with no break during the pandemic, and I figured the trauma of that and the constant stress of COVID was finally taking its toll. I suggested a few times that maybe she should take some time off. The last time I suggested it, she blew up at me and started accusing me of cheating. It was an intense fight, she said she had proof, and when I asked to see it, she threw my laptop. That's when I left. We had another fight over the phone a bit later, where she said she'd send the proof of my infidelity to a lawyer, and I told her to pass it on to mine. After that, we mostly communicated via text, with her mostly sending me updates about work or silly memes. Periodically, she would plead with me to tell her the truth about the cheating, but I had no idea what she was talking about. For the past few weeks, I've been waiting to see what proof she had, hoping she would talk to me more than just sending a few memes here and there, anything to clarify the situation. I've been living with my parents, and it's been incredibly stressful. I thought I was never going to find out what was going on until a few days ago when she showed up at my parents' house to talk. Finally, she told me the proof of my cheating. Her coworker had claimed to have seen me with another, much younger woman. So okay, I can handle that. I ask some follow-up questions. What did she look like? Where was this? Etc. I quickly figure out that she's talking about Maya. We sometimes go to the hospital to have lunch with her, and her coworker must have seen us together. Simple mistake, right? Except my wife knew that her coworker was describing Maya and was more or less suggesting that I was cheating on her with the child I helped raise and who calls me dad. I tried not to get angry because I know she has a lot of trauma related to older men being with younger women, especially after what her parents tried to force her to do. But at the same time, I felt disgusted and betrayed that she'd ever think I'd do something like that. The conversation quickly devolved into another argument. During that argument, she admitted that it wasn't just any coworker, it was her first cousin, Shalia. And Shalia is still in the church. It all started tumbling out. She's been hanging out with Shalia during downtime, calling and talking to her dad, the same man who tried to marry her off to someone older than I am now. She's even been going to church meetings again when I thought she was at work. And you know what? The church stuff wouldn't be a problem on its own. If she wants to be Christian, that's her choice. But the issue is that everything she's saying is a contradiction to everything else she's been saying. First, she claims I'm in my prime years for having children. I'm 44. I'm past my prime for kids. Maya is 21, and while I'm thrilled to have her living at home, I'm also thrilled that she can clean her own bathroom. Because my dad is secular Jewish, according to my wife, he's evil, and that evil is passed down to me. My mom is even more evil because she was supposedly Christian, though she never really was. Her family was lapsed Catholic, and I'm not sure she's ever even been to Mass. But because my mom turned her back on the church and didn't raise me as a Christian, that's also evil. This is the same woman who loves my wife probably more than she loves me, yet now, according to my wife, she's a sinner and deceitful. But more than all of that, the part that makes me the sickest, the part that pushed me to actually call a lawyer, is that my wife suggested our daughter, this brilliant, amazing kid who loves her mom so much, is somehow to blame because she's young and flaunting herself. It's all jumbled up in my brain. There was so much more. She went on for what felt like hours before I finally asked her to leave. She claimed I wasn't a good provider because she had to work. I reminded her that I had been suggesting she take time off from work, but evidently, that was proof that I was just trying to isolate her from her family. There were so many tangents and conspiracies, like the idea that my suggesting she get therapy, which I've been doing since before the pandemic, and especially after, was actually me trying to brainwash her to be okay with me having an affair with Maya. I don't understand any of it. I don't know where to go from here or how to even begin. That evening, after my wife left, Maya called me in tears because her mom had said some really awful things to her. So I told Maya to come stay with my parents and me, which just added fuel to the fire. Now, Grace thinks we're living together. I called a lawyer, and I think my marriage is over. I don't know what to do. I can't tell where the fundamentalist beliefs end and the conspiracy theories begin, or what I'm even supposed to do to fix things, if fixing things is even possible. I don't know how I missed things falling apart to this extent. I'm completely lost. Update 2 1 week later. I saw my wife earlier today. I wanted to sit down and start discussing what divorce was going to look like between us. We have over a decade of our finances, our home, and our lives intertwined. I've been paying for Maya's school, and it's her job that provides most of our insurance coverage. I put the down payment on our house, but she's paid off just as much of it as I have. We'll have lawyers handle all of this, but I wanted to look her in the eyes and make her see the reality of what she's doing. Divorce isn't just a word, it's a real, concrete thing. The lives we've been living will be over as we know them. We're not old, it's not like we can't move on from this, but at the same time, I've been her husband for so long that I don't know who I am without her. When I got home, I started drinking and haven't stopped all evening. It's effing stupid, don't do what I did. I just couldn't stop. I kept seeing her sitting across from me, refusing to look at me. I don't know her anymore, and I'm not sure if I ever did. My therapist talks about masking, right? Because of the PTSD, ADHD, and all that. I mask a lot with coworkers or clients, but I never had to mask at home. And now I'm wondering if, throughout this entire marriage, she was just masking being happy with me. It's devastating to wonder if she was miserable the whole time. Did she choose me because I was stable and a good father figure for Maya? I'm not ugly, but I'm not handsome either. Our bedroom life was good, or was it? Was she just going through the motions because of what she learned as a kid, that she had to please her husband? I feel sick thinking about it. I feel like I might have unknowingly abused her because I don't know how much of it was really her and how much was just the programming she went through in that church. And Maya, Christ, Maya is just, she's not doing great. She's trying so hard to be stoic and strong, but she's my baby girl. I taught her how to fish, and she's better at it than I am. She taught me how to knit when I was having trouble with work during the pandemic and struggling with the lockdown. She's such an amazing kid, and she's hurting, and I hate Grace for that. I hate her for hurting our kid. But I love her, and that hurts too. I don't know what the point of this was. I came back to read over the theories about her cheating on me or going through menopause. I thought what we had was fixable. I thought if I worked at it, we could change things. And it's just over. It's so effing over. Let that be a lesson, Sometimes things just end, and there is nothing any of us can do about it.